Let me tell you about corruption or the special prosecutor. It's been over a year since Ghana's first special prosecutor, Martin Amidu, was sworn into office, but there hasn't been any prosecution so far. Some Ghanaians are beginning to wonder whether the special prosecutor performed his mandate. But JoyNews last Friday obtained exclusive details of cases being pursued by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. In a corruption watch forum organized here in Accra, Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at CDD, Dr. Kojo Asante, said the CID is creating duplication of work by opening investigations into Office of the Special Prosecutor's cases, and they're calling for its rectification.
At 959, it's clear that corruption and corruption-related offences are the preserve of the OSP. These offences included, listed in the Criminal Offences Act of 1960, the procurement offences and related offences to these two categories. During the parliamentary committee deliberations, there was an effort to insert a takeover clause allowing the OSP the power to take over corruption cases started by other agencies if it so wished. This was to affirm its jurisdiction. The only reference to this jurisdiction was expressed in Section 81 under transitional proceedings, where the AG could exercise her discretion to pass on cases handled by other agencies to the OSP. Certainly, the propriety of such a decision by the Attorney General will depend on the capacity of the OSP to handle such cases. But surely, ladies and gentlemen, it should be clear, when a new matter on corruption has been reported to the OSP and he's dealing with it, there is no need to open another case at a different agency. The governing board was designed to deal with such matters and should be called upon to address it. But going forward, the OSP does require a cooperation and coordination and collaboration protocol agreed with other agencies that will guide everybody when these overlaps emerge. This is a policy matter the board must take up. My last dimension, public engagement. The OSP law requires publication of certain pieces of information every half year. These include lists of corruption cases investigated and prosecuted, the number of acquittals, convictions, cases pending in relation to prosecutions, and the value of assets recovered. This should be published in 2 national dailies and on the website of the OSP. As we have always maintained, these guidelines are the minimum standards, and the OSP can and should provide more information as relevant and appropriate. The general principle of the citizen's right to know already exists as a constitutional right, and with the passage of the RTI should provide more encouragement to the OSP to share more. The chairman of the board of the OSP has stated that the office will discharge its responsibility to publish a half-yearly report. Also, the special prosecutor, Mr. Martin Amidu, has stated his office will prosecute his first case in 2019. Speaking to Metro TV, Mr. Martin Amidu stated that his office responded to all petitions sent to them and assured the public of their commitment to prosecute corruption cases brought to the OSP. Thus, we expect that sometime in June, we will have an official account of the activities of the office for public record. In addition, once an audit is completed of the office and submitted to the board and then to the Attorney General, she would also be expected to lay it before Parliament, which means that we'll get another public record. These requirements are important for transparency and accountability and should be a model for all law enforcement agencies, even without statutory compulsion.
Dr. Kojo Asante of the CDD is speaking there. While the board chairperson of the Special Prosecutor's Office, Linda Ofoe-Kwafo, insists work is being done and is asking for patience.
In terms of staff of the office, the board has a responsibility to advise on the recruitment of some senior level officials. The 4 divisions Kojo mentioned are clearly stated in the Act. The people who head these offices can be considered senior level individuals. As I said, the second LI deals with human capital. And so all these matters have been addressed. And if today recruitment should start, there is a lay-down procedure to be followed in getting the appropriate people to fill the office. Another issue I would want to comment on is the one about publications to be made by the OSP office. And I think that is provided for in Section 3.3 of the Act 959. Two main requirements are specified, and I'm also happy Doctor mentioned it. So there's a list going around that says these are the things the OSP is reading. What I want us to do is to test whether this list meets the requirements as provided under the two provisions of Section 3.3. As Kujo mentioned, the first 6 months, so many things were happening, and ordinarily, there was no way such a publication could have come up. So we should study clearly. I don't have the Act before me, but it's quite specific on the issues that are supposed to be provided. And the Act says lists, and there are too many subsections under the Act. So I know the expectations of Ghanaians to see some work being done, and I'm thinking Ghanaians are all waiting to see people go to jail, and that's quite unfortunate. I'm not speaking for the OSP, and I don't speak for that office, but I just want us to know that in as much as we all want corruption to be dealt with, and people investigated properly and sanctioned where the need arises, we should also make sure the office works according to the laid-down procedures. So some work is being done. So it's quite unfortunate the list is out. But I'm not sure that's the list that even I got to know from the media. I heard it on radio. And I'm not required, and no board member is required to even know under the law. He does not have that obligation to be providing us with the details of the cases that will amount to some hurt and interference of sorts. So I got to know just like we all got to know. But I'm not even sure or whether all these cases are being investigated by the special prosecutor. In as much as the timing or the presentation of the cases did not come from the office, good or bad, at least people have gotten to know what the office is up to. That's if this list is the right list of cases the SP is investigating. I can't speak to that because I don't have that information officially from anywhere and from the office. I've also noticed that Dr. Asante and the CS Coalition, including myself and everybody, has actually outlined a number of recommendations, some for the board, some for the office, some for the president. And since we are only interested in ensuring that we have an office that is effective and efficient when it comes to dealing with this canker, the board will take on board that which is ours and we'll work with it accordingly. On the issues that are circulating, just since last week till now, we've not met. We don't have any official position on the matter.
Linda Foyekwafo is the board chair for the Office of the Special Prosecutor.